The entire creation is so fragile for the very fact that it is impermanent. Like the world, the universe, the things, planets, even sun, everything is impermanent. And our own physical body, how impermanent. Any organ, anything can fail any moment, any day. And our body is so fragile. Our mind is so fragile. We can get hurt. We can lose peace. We can be struggling. The moment the body is born, time starts. It is set. Your time starts. If only we had that wisdom when we were born, as soon as we were born, to discriminate about the permanent, impermanent, good and bad, highest and all these things, and ponder over about ourselves. Why is I'm born? How am I born as the body? Am I this physical body? Imagine if anybody had this. In scriptures, we do get to hear that some rarely, very rarely, some sages had this, like Ashtavakra, but not all of us were blessed. But we were blessed to be at the age of 8 to think about death and birth. Otherwise, simply time passes by. We have to learn walking, we have to learn talking, then we are hungry, we have to learn some education so that we can earn eventually. Time goes with all these things to sustain ourselves, and by the time we try to establish and settle in this world, so many other problems start. Always set priority. This should be your priority, to know yourself, to quieten your mind, to do the sadhana. Let this be first in the queue of all your responsibilities, your dues, your duties, and then you go on doing other duties, because time was set years ago when the physical body was born. We might be 15 years, we might be 30 years, we might be 40 years, 50 years, 60 years, 70 years. Time was set long ago, and it's going to set priority without forgetfulness, without any excuses. Do sadhana every day. As long as this body is there, I will try to be giving my precious time to, for sake of all of you, to help you to practice, to induce you, to inspire you to do these things always. And I would be praying additionally to my divine Guru to bless you, to grace upon you, to inspire your wisdom, and to bless you, to give that precious time, that instincts for you, that discipline, that dedication, and that patience, that you start thinking, I must do it. I'm restless if I don't do it. Like that. May you all be blessed by the divine Guru.
Thank you very much. I just want to know what is the true meaning of dharma and what is its importance in our everyday lives?
Dharma word is used for the kartavya, a duty, obligation. Even the English word religion also is taken from the Latin word meaning obligation, means your duties. Like my guru also used to speak, having born as human being, you have triple responsibilities. These triple things are the formation of the religion means. In my opinion, in my understanding, what I learned, so when you undertake certain exercises that is prescribed, so that you can try to keep your physical health as much as possible, though it may have its own limits, and using the physical body, you undertake such exercises, that you can control and keep the mind healthier to its origin and better utilization in this world to make you a matured personality. And the third responsibility is upholding moral values. Moral values, basic criteria, consideration to each other. So these three things combined, if you are practicing, then you are a perfect religious person. You are practicing the dharma in its right sense, your duties.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. So my question is that I can sit like for 1 hour and sometimes half an hour separately, just witnessing, and I'm all focused. But more than that, I can't go. But like there times I can walk for 2 to 3 hours in my garden, appreciating birds and all, and I have a quiet mind and I enjoy the peace. So why is it that I can, with open eyes, feel peaceful, but I am not able to push my limits beyond 1 or 1.5 hours during the sitting meditation?
It is the habit. Now you are more used to keep your vision extrovert and try to appreciate a peaceful atmosphere, a serenity. This is for a while it's no problem, but for longer term it is recommended that you find the peace within, because if you try to depend on some outer things for your peace, that may be a temporary existence or temporary availability. Sometimes it might be lost, then you will be confused or you may lose that peace. So by habit, by practice only these things happen. So try to practice again and again. If necessary, take a small break of 10 to 15 minutes, then again sit down. So you can continue for some more time, just like we did today. Two meditations of 1 hour in between, giving a break for 15 to 16 minutes. Like that, if you practice, you can do it.
So basically, can nature and appreciating it become an addiction, and I should avoid appreciating it and try to lock myself in my room more? Like that would work.
That for longer time, though for a while appreciating nature is not a bad thing, but for going for a self realization and to find a permanent supreme peace, going introvert is necessary, mind becoming totally silent.
And one last thing, eventually the mind becomes like totally dead. I was reading Ramana Maharshi. So whether one is meditating or not, the mind should be thoughtless 24/7. Is it that way?
Yeah, when one is able to do tapas, then final when samadhi occurs, then this can be achieved. And you can live a normal life mechanically, but your activities might be very limited only to the need. You won't go on adding extracurricular activities unnecessarily. So, like that, you will be able to live a peaceful life. Your mind can remain quiet and peace, and it won't absorb any imprints also. That's what, like I keep telling, even if I'm gossiping or if I'm listening to somebody's gossip, my mind does not dramatize or picturize anything. It remains in total silence.
Pranam Babaji. To become aware of the space doesn't mean that you see the vision of the world as it is, but the awareness of space comes from an inner awareness.
Awareness of the space comes when the mind totally becomes silent. As long as there is some imagination, mind's attention is sucked by that imagination, that object. Even whether you, when you are attracted to the nature or extroverted things also, mentally, so then the mind recognizes, it picturizes, then its attention is all to that. So it is not into the awareness of the self. So it has to become totally silent. Then it becomes attentive to the space. The space is actually the consciousness of existence. That is the self eventually.
But Babaji, I read in the Tapas Shakti that Swamiji said that if you control your eyes, you are controlling the whole body because all the five elements that constitute the body, there are in eyes. Would you please elaborate on this? And if this control of the body through eyes is like what in someone's hand, or is just automatically?
Yeah, Swamiji also used to tell these two or three are the obstacles for the mind to become totally quiet and go into samadhi. If the body is constantly moving, it can give a jerk to the mind and make it to spin further. And also eyeballs and eyelids are very important. In his very instructions of meditation also, he used to emphasize that you have to keep your eyeballs and eyelids unmoved, into fixed into one thing. When the eyeballs are fixed, it can bring the mind also 100% and hold on to that position. So the slowly the mind also just gets into a watching position, giving up its thinking habits. Then all the imaginations, thoughts and visions dissolve and they disappear. Then the mind becomes attentive to itself. That means it turns introvert. Its attention automatically goes to itself when there is no imagination within the mind. So this is the result which takes you to samadhi, what is known as total stillness of the mind, giving you the awareness of the self eventually.
So, does it have any biological aspect in it? Like this control?
Biological aspect here, when you use the eyeballs to stillness, it brings the mind also there into single pointedness, but it will not give any further imagination. Also, mind is not going to depend on the eyeballs for long time for its stillness. That is the biological technique here. So you use it eyeball, whereas any other objects like even the breath also, if you try to put your attention, all your mental attention will go. Here, you are not asked to give the mental attention to the eyes. Instead, eyeballs to be fixed. Using that, you pay mental attention, just watch in between eyebrows. You are not asked to watch the eyeballs, just watch in between eyebrows. So that is the biological benefit it will give. So then the mind becomes quiet on its own without depending on the eyeballs or any other sensory organs.
Thanks.
Pranams, Babaji. Uh, Baba, in the Rig Vedas, they talk about the yugas, like Treta Yuga, Dwarpa Yuga. So in as much as we think this world and we are real, are these also real?
You see, when you are having the month of June, when you think there was January, there was February, so in your memory, that was also true, this is also true, as it is. Always the present is the real truth, but that doesn't mean that it never existed. So that is a historical time, mythological time, Treta Yuga. Just like that, if Kali Yuga is there, Treta Yuga was there, Dwapara Yuga was also there. Human thinking qualities were different. Based on that only, these yugas have been divided. Like example, in our own time, for last 50 years, if you think, human thinking has deteriorated and has become so more violent and so selfish and narrow-minded. People everywhere have become so selfishness. They don't want to scold their own kids, but they are ready to pull up and keep scolding other children. That type of selfishness has happened in humans. That is what is Kali Yuga that has come. But in Dwapar Yuga, Treta Yuga, human beings were better thinking and better things were there. Like in Mahabharata story, as the Dwapar Yuga was coming to an end, Yudhishthira, who was the emperor, once went around his kingdom, he saw a person locking his home. That was the first time he saw. In today's world, locking a home is not a surprise. It is a nature, it is a must. We all know that. But the first time when he saw, he was shocked. Why is that this person is locking his home? What was such a necessity that he had to lock? Nobody would rob him. Then he answers, "Ki somebody might rob my home, some dacoits come." So then Yudhishthira was more surprised. Are there dacoits? Are there robbers in my kingdom? Oh, shame, such a shame for me. So, like that, the yugas were divided just for identification.
So they say now that we are in Kali Yuga now. Would that be an accurate description as the way
Yeah,
people are selfish?
based on the human behavior, human thinking, human selfishness, all these human qualities only, these yugas are divided. Now the Kali Yuga has come means the rules have changed. You see, even in Mahabharata war also, when the war started, the beginning, as long as Bhishma was alive, the rules were different. It was followed like a sportive spirit. Even the wars were not with a personal vengeance or hatred. It was just a war. They used to have breakfast in the morning, and then that conch was blown. So then the war used to start. In the evening, as it was about to sunset, then Bhishma used to blow the conch. So then the war used to stop for that day. Then they all used to attend to their body needs, and sometimes they were sitting, both armies were sitting in their respective tents in other tents and keep talking to each other. But next day morning, they were standing in different armies and they were fighting. But after Yudhishthira, the Bhishma fell down, then the rules changed, because Duryodhana was disrespectful to Dronacharya. He didn't bother much. Dronacharya also did not insist upon. So the rules got changed. They went on fighting even in the darkness also. And the cheating was also happened. From behind also arrows were shot. Lot of rules were set. You must not attack from behind, and you must not attack a person who doesn't have the weapons at that time, and doesn't have the inclination. If that person was tired for that day, he could retire. If he wanted to retire, he was not to be harmed. Those rules were there, but afterwards all these started not observing. So the human mind got deteriorated in thinking, in following the rules. At any cost, hook or crook, they wanted to win. So today's world, by hook or crook, people want to do that one. That is what happening. So based on this, the yugas were divided and Kali Yuga was decided. Okay, this is Kali Yuga.
Thank you, Babaji. Thank you.
Pranam Babaji. Baba has said that spirituality, the spiritual path or meditation is like a science or a systematic approach. Could Babaji explain a bit more about this, please?
You see, some years ago when I was talking to a scientist in Malaysia, I just wanted to know the basic criteria for what do you mean by science. Everybody talk of scientific temperament, scientific thing, scientific. He said that there should be a systematic approach and a result at the end of that approach, that tunnel. So that is science. I said spirituality is same. There is a systematic approach. A guru teaches what you are supposed to do. First, you achieve stillness of the body, sit in discipline, take out time in priority, like that master teaches. And then he teaches the method also. By closing the eyes, you just have to watch in between eyebrows. Why that method is taught? So that the mind can become quiet on its own without depending on any external anchor. When the mind becomes quiet, why is it that it has to become quiet? Why is the silence has to be achieved? Because mind is made up of consciousness and energy. Consciousness means wherever it gets applied, you become aware of that existence. But just now, mind has become so habitual to get applied to its own imaginations. It is totally preoccupied, so it is unable to watch itself, become aware of itself. So first it has to be silenced. When it becomes silent, then automatically it turns its attention to itself. Then it becomes aware of the truth. Then it realizes there is this existence. So that is how I also said ki this is science. I also tell ki existence value. Science always goes for existence value, that you can prove there is this thing. Here only this is individual experience. You cannot show it to anybody. But if one can see, it can be shown. Like I talk of space, a certain thing which is all pervaded, how can it escape anybody's eyes? But the reason a person cannot see is ignorance of the fact what it is. If something else has been fed into your brains, so you start thinking about that only. Once this set has been told, okay, this is it, this is space. Space means this is void, a criteria is given. But we never try to think further. That is a speciality. A certain thing that exists, which is void in surface, means it can allow any other object to pass through its surface. That's a wonderful quality for me. So that is the space is the ultimate truth, because space is holding the entire universe. Everything, anything cannot go beyond space. As I have told Adi Shankara's story, when a little bit of confusion or ego had occurred, the story says Lord Shiva came in front of him as an untouchable person with a country-made alcohol on his head. So Adi Shankara said, Ki, move away, give me way. He was going to river Ganga for a bath. Then that person said, they addressed it as Brahmanda, what we call it as space today. If there is any place beyond Brahmanda, show me that place, then I will go away there, leaving this Brahmanda to you, in which you and me both exist in this body. If it is not there, then where do we go? You ask me to move away. Then Adi Shankara immediately recognized, if this person has this knowledge and wisdom, he is not an ordinary person. He is equivalent to my guru. He prostrates. So that is how. So I try to explain always it is a science, means scientific things are there. If only you listen to the master's teaching and achieve. Otherwise, you see, in this world, where through science, technology, any field, every terminology and definition that is used is an imagination for sake of understanding and communication. Actually, nobody knows what it is. Whereas we try to conclude, though we have reached through science or anything, nearest cause or immediate cause only has been explained. I have always told, a root cause has not been explained. After that, they stop. This is it. Further, no explanation. If they cannot explain, they call some terminology like a ether or something like this. It is there. Like Einstein only told, you have to cross the barrier of time and space to reach that, to become aware of that truth. He also knew it cannot be demonstrated. Nothing can be demonstrated. We can produce photographs that a person went and landed on the moon, but it cannot be demonstrated in front of you to your naked eyes. But you are ready to believe that photograph, that movie, that video, everything, because you have faith in science, in scientists. You don't have faith in spirituality or spiritual yogis. That is the difference. So that is how I try to explain. This is also a science. Spirituality also, a person who follows, he tries to go for existence value. When we were doubtful, we wanted to know the truth. I always wanted to go for existence value. That's why I was never attracted to any other smaller things. of like magics or miracles or anything. Nothing. If God is coming onto this earth, if he is going to produce only a little bit powders or chains, and that is not God. If God can give peace to the universe, let him wave his hand and give peace. That doesn't happen. Then what the truth is? There must be something. So, like that, we went for the truth of existence, not simply a superstitious belief. That's why, after some time ago, some people came who are atheists. They said, "Ki, we are atheists. Can you prove there is God?" I said, "Ki, after a state, both atheism and theism loses its sense when you realize the self. Because, in my opinion, both depend on a belief system. One believes there is a God, another believes there is no God. Both do not know what the truth is. Once you come to note about the truth, your doubt disappears and nobody can confuse you ever. No theism, no atheism can confuse. 100,000 times, 100,000 whole world tell there is no God. Our minds never get confused because I have seen what it is, the truth is. So that's how we have to go for existence value. That is the fact.
Thank you, Baba. Pranav.
Babaji, my question is, when you say like we should prostrate to the guru, like, I don't know, does it make me arrogant that like I don't like prostrating? You know what I mean? Like, I don't like.
You see, these things are like a protocol having respect. Respect in its highest pitch is reverence. So, if you have reverence to the master, you will be serious in your approach. You won't take things lightly. Otherwise, you see, every time I keep talking and you fail to follow the methods if you are not serious. So that is important to be serious. That is why it is taught. However, if you don't like, you don't have to. As long as you can be serious in your approach and you practice what the master says, that is what is needed. That's why it is recommended to have respect to the guru so that you can follow what the guru says. Otherwise, it's your choice.
Okay, thanks, Babaji.
During the day, if one's been meditating regularly, but then during the day one becomes quite agitated, in fact, perhaps even very agitated, what's a good way of trying to calm down again? If one can't go away and do some meditation, is there something that one can do during the day?
You see, if you are active during the day,
Yep.
you try to remember some name of God which appeals to you, a name
right.
of the guru, repeat it so that the mind can become engaged to it. So keeping the mind engaged gives something like when the elephant is walking, the elephant rider gives something for the elephant to hold on to its trunks. Otherwise, it keeps poking its trunk here and there. It cannot keep quiet. It cannot keep walking. To keep its trunk busy, he gives that something to hold on. In the same way, the mind needs, if it is not kept busy, it will be devil's workshop. It keeps getting agitated and troubling this, that. To forget all those things is necessary. To try to keep yourself busy positively if you can be active so that you can remain focused on to your work or repeat some mantra, some name of God. Try to remember the teachings. So many things are there. All these things can be very helpful.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you.
Hello, Babaji. Nice to see you. My question goes in this direction that I plant my own vegetable, and when I look at this, then I see lots of fighting going on between vegetables and grass. Every let's say you plant a lovely cabbage, and then the grass comes and try to takes over the space. So there's a kind of aggression in. When you put your head into the seawater and you see everybody eats each other, there's a kind of aggression in. When you look into the animal world, there's a kind of aggression in, that everybody's running from each other and try to teach each other. Is that when you look now into the humans, there's again a kind of aggression in that. Is this because our existence is reflected and influenced from nature, or yeah, can you explain this, please?
You see, I agree. Even Buddha said, in the nature, creatures, they depend on each other, one another. This is one side. On the other side, humans have well developed brain and thinking. They also depend for their survival. Like Charles Darwin said, struggle for existence and survival of the fittest. But as the time has passed by, humans have become more selfish, more narrow minded, by hook or crook want to achieve. They don't mind troubling and putting into torture any person and eliminating any person. They could have been a little more responsible towards fellow beings, and after fellow beings towards fellow creatures also. Still they could have survived. Like the scientist telling, earth always have had and will have enough resources to meet the need of humanity, but not its greed. If we observe like 550 years, 100 years, how humans have deteriorated in their approach for their own, they talk of survival, but often they would have developed more than the need, a greed. We need basic needs definitely to survive, but just for those basic needs we can survive without much harming the other. But when we become greed, we go into aggression and harming the other. This is what irresponsibility has happened amongst human beings, and immaturity, insecurity feeling. So sometimes I have seen, like an example, there was a person so who told there is something wrong in the harmonium. So I told, okay, we will have a look later. There was another person there. Suddenly he felt insecure and put the blame on somebody else, thinking that if something has happened to harmonium, that blame should not come to me or my people. Like that human beings behaving, which was not necessary. There was nothing wrong in the harmonium, nothing wrong with anybody. There was no need to be so much of insecure. So this is what human nature has deteriorated, and they tend to behave badly, which was unnecessary. They could have exercised some patience, waited. If at all they wanted to defend, they could have told, okay, we did not do anything wrong to this instrument. That was all needed. They didn't have to put the blame on somebody else so that the blame doesn't comes to them. This is a small example I'm giving, not directed against any person or any such thing. Just an example. Everywhere you get to see in society, human beings out of insecurity, inability to communicate or understand, they're going to a conflict and aggression. If everybody can follow spirituality, practice this meditation and all such exercises, mind can become so matured in its approach and in its thinking, it won't be insecure. At the most, if it has to defend, it will defend in a proper way, proper protocol, proper process is there. Like that, we defend.
Thank you very much, Dorothy. Thank you.
Got a couple of questions sent in on chat, if I may ask them.
Yes, yes.
So the first question asks, what does God realization mean? Why is it called God realization?
See, the ultimate truth is recognized as God, because originally the Gayatri mantra, one of the most ancient mantras composed by sage Vishwamitra, its basic meaning I will tell. I'm not going into a scholarly explanations elaborately. What it says is that is all pervaded in all directions on this earth, above the earth, beyond the earth, and that is tattva, that That was the original terminology they used for God also, tattva. Then they said that tattva means that is divine in nature. Why it is divine in nature? Because if we adopt its remembrance in our mind, consciousness, all our unhappiness and sins can be washed away once for all. For that, let us pray to that to inspire our wisdom. This is the basic meaning of the mantra. This is the original approach to the ultimate truth. Before they called it even God or any other names, etc., they called it as tattva, means that. Because when they realized that existence, it was such an awesome, amazing thing. You could have named in any name, called it in any form or formless or beyond that, anything. That's why they simply said that. So that is how. Then slowly a word of self-realization, realizing that self-realization. Say, as I have told, if our mind is like a droplet, its ocean is to be recognized as God, because this droplet's existence and its everything depends on the ocean, because it belongs to the ocean. It has come out of the ocean, it will get dropped into the ocean. Bhagya means destiny. This droplet's destiny depends on this ocean. That is somewhat a little bit basic meaning for God or Bhagavan or divine. So that is how God realization has also come. This word is used. Self realization, God realization, they both are same. You are not going to stand separately and see a God and realize. Like I have explained before also, when Swamiji was talking and explaining to me once, so then I asked the question, Swamiji, you told that in the end of your tapas, Shiva and Parvati, God and Goddess, they both appeared. Then you consider, oh, Bhagwan has come. Then you prostrated and you had conversation. And then you say, that they entered your body, merged with you. Merged with you, that is the word you have used. But what we have heard in scripture, self realization means the mind, the consciousness has to merge with the self, gets absorbed into the self. That's what is self realization. So, what is your opinion? Swamiji said this word. You see, if the droplet gets dropped into the ocean, is also the same, or if the ocean flows and engulfs the droplet, also is the same. So that is how, as self-realization, God realization, they are all same. When you are a droplet, there is a God. When you become one with the God, there is neither droplet nor ocean. And the droplet did not become ocean. Ocean already existed. Like that, when a person realizes, he doesn't become God specially. God already existed. Simply he became one with that and lost his own identity. Like Ramakrishna has said, a salt doll wanting to know the depth of the ocean jumps into the ocean and in the process melts in the ocean. It is no more there. There is no more to measure. That's why the space is like that. If you want to know the space, you have to merge with the space. Once you become space, there is nothing to measure. You are that you. That is what is God realization, self realization.
Thank you very much, Babaji.
Babaji, as I understand, creation is not eternal. It had beginning, despite the infinite consciousness, God, whatever you call, is eternal. Creation is not. And when it gets to the end of the creation, what happens to those individual souls, those jivatmas that gain some levels of consciousness, either as animals or human beings, and this consciousness is not mature in human being, that at the end, like let's say right now it happens, I am not self-realized. My
You
conscious,
see,
what happens?
when there is no more creation, creation ends. Jivatma, everything merges with the final truth, that is the one single self, that divinity that exists as all pervaded. That is the permanent entity. So all Jivatmas have come out, all droplets have come out of the same ultimate truth ocean. All Jivatmas have come out of that Paramatma, the supreme being. So when creation ends, that means they all merge with the self. When there is nothing, only that will be there. That is the
Yes,
truth. But this cannot be demonstrated. You will realize only when you experience the Nirvikalpa Samadhi in the end of the tapas.
yes, but when this happens, all these mergence happens, the Jivatmas who are not complete in consciousness, do they realize that they are one with infinite?
Before that, before that, by the grace of the divine, they will all be given that supreme consciousness, that cleansing of the mind will happen. The grace, the divine will finish all the venom that is in the mind of imagination. So that is how the creation also will come to an end. Until then, the creation will also go as long as the divine wants to play.
Thanks so much. Thank you.
Pranam Babaji. I have a question that when we sit for meditation, before that, is there any process of doing any mild exercises so that it will help us to become little activated before doing the meditation or when we get up
Yeah.
early in the morning?
Like a couple of breathing exercises, pranayama, simple, anuloma, viloma. You all have heard this, right? In the app, I have explained this. The Shri Babaji app is there. If you download, it is free to download both in App Store and Android also. So that just before the meditation, about these two couple of breathing exercises, I have explained how to do it. One anuloma vinoma, and the long inhale and exhale of the breath for 2 minutes. If you do, that can be very helpful to bring down the restlessness of the mind, and it enhances the concentration power in meditation. So you can practice that whenever you feel restless in the mind. Also, you take a long inhale slowly and exhale again for a couple of minutes only. You do this and then again sit for meditation. Your mind would have become better and restlessness would have come down. This is one thing. And if you are used to chanting any mantra or remembering any God's name, that also you can do for a couple of minutes, few minutes, not very long. So these are the preliminary exercises, and then go to silent meditation. That can be very helpful.
Thank you, Babaji. Pranam Babaji.
So we had somebody else sending in a message, a question. The question is, Lord Krishna says in the Gita that only 1 in millions will come to know me. Why is it so rare?
Because majority of the people have become habitual to look for their happiness in impermanent world all the time, and they don't want to take up spiritual exercises. They don't get attracted because in the beginning it is slightly difficult, but if they undertake it, so people want easy and instant coffee. You see, how many are ready to sit for regular meditation and do it? They come to a guru. Is this guru can give us the things just like this? And they always get cheated. No guru, no God, nobody can give it. Like Buddha also said, if it could have been given from one to the other, would not I have given to my dearest disciple Ananda? A guru can guide, a guru can inspire, a guru's grace can descend if you have the faith, but one has to put in efforts. Purushartha is necessary. But people become so weak mentally. Such a mighty soul like Arjuna had become so weak. In spite of Krishna, so much teaching, giving him push and push, he failed to take up the bows and arrows and fight it out. Then finally Krishna had to say, if you cannot do anything else, giving up everything, at least surrender to me. I have already killed all these people in this war field. You just have to take the bows and arrows. Finally, he had to take up the bows and arrows and fight it out. That effort was necessary. But he had to be psychologically brainwashed by Krishna so that he can take up. He became so terrified. So people become so terrified by the word meditation. Oh, meditation is not for me. They are all incarnation people and they could meditate. I cannot meditate. It is not for us. So we just go to God and just do some arati and come back. Everybody can meditate, Swamiji said. Meditation is for everybody. Anybody can meditate. There is no such criteria that if you have money, you can meditate. If you don't have money, you cannot meditate. Swamiji never asked for any qualification. He didn't ask whether you are a graduate or not. He asked, you are interested, you sit down and meditate. This is the method. So like that, anybody can meditate. That's why people want easy things. They don't want to take up and practice it for themselves. Nowadays, you see everywhere packaged things have come. People ask me these questions, just like we get fast food and all packages. Cannot this self-realization also come packaged? I told them, look, you get a fast food and a home delivery food when you make payment. Nobody delivers you for free of cost. No fast food comes for free of cost. If you have account, if you have money in your account, if you have a credit card or a debit card, then you pay through that, then the fast food comes. Because you don't want to prepare that food at home. You want to buy that one because that you find it easy. You have, but to earn that money, you are ready to work and sit in front of computer the whole day, 10 hours, 12 hours, 15 hours, meeting after meeting, you are ready to do it, but you don't want to cook. So that is how things happen. People forget nothing comes easy. Everything people have to work it out. So while working, we must remain focused and don't lose heart, don't give up. It might be very hard, but it is not impossible. This attitude, positive attitude, is necessary. So that's how we all did. If anybody do it, they can achieve. But Krishna is right. Even till this day, this is what only one in a million get inspired to go onto this path. We announce, we send to message to so many people. About 118 people are here who meditated properly. 1018 also can come, 500 also can come. So they don't want to come, what to do? I won't give up teaching, whether anybody wants to learn or not. My practice will always be there. Very beautiful. I appreciate all of your participation. You all have taken out your precious times and have been with me. It was very encouraging for me. All your wonderful questions also giving me an opportunity to share my experience and express my opinion and what the truth is. I stand by my statements of the truth because I experienced, and that's what my master also taught.